You have been lied to for years. Books, movies, and pickup artists have sold you a blueprint for intimacy that is fundamentally broken. They tell you that seduction is a physical act. They tell you that if you touch her skin in the right spot, if you use the right technique, she will unlock. But let me ask you a question. Have you ever done everything right physically, but she still felt distant, like a mannequin, cold, unresponsive? That is not a lack of technique. That is a biological rejection. Here is the brutal truth that most men are too fragile to accept. For a mature woman, a woman who has seen the world, who has carried burdens, who has evolved past the naive games of her 20s, foreplay does not start in the bedroom. It does not start when the lights go down. If you wait until you are in bed to start touching her, you have already lost. Visual scenario. Imagine this. You are lying next to her. The room is dim. The mood seems right, at least to you. You reach out. You run your hand down her arm. It's a gentle touch, a romantic touch, but her muscle flinches. Just a microsecond. She doesn't pull away, but she doesn't lean in. She sighs. She turns her head slightly. She is there physically, but her mind is behind a 1,000-foot wall of ice. Why? Because you are trying to enter the temple without unlocking the gate. The thing she wants you to touch first is not tangible. It is not visible to the naked eye. It is the most erogenous zone in the female anatomy, and it is the one place most men are terrified to go, because to touch it, you cannot use your hands, you must use your presence. We are talking about the cerebral gatekeeper, the part of her brain that decides long before you touch her skin whether you are a threat, a boy, or a man. If you skip this step, you are just friction. If you master this step, you become magnetic. Today on Mind Decode, on Mind, we are going to dissect the anatomy of the mature female mind. We are going to show you exactly what to touch, how to touch it, and why 99% of men fail before they even unzip their fly. Prepare yourself. We are going deep. To understand the touch, you must first understand the machine. You see, a woman's brain is not static. It evolves. The software running in the mind of a 20-year-old girl is fundamentally different from the operating system of a 40-year-old woman. This is not opinion. This is evolutionary biology. In her youth, the primary driver is often validation. She is biologically wired to maximize attention, to filter through as many suitors as possible to find the strongest genes. Her gatekeeper is loose. She is driven by dopamine, excitement, the thrill of the chase. She wants to be seen, but a mature woman. She has survived. She has gathered resources. She has likely borne children or built an empire. Her biological imperative shifts. She no longer craves attention. She craves resonance. Her brain has developed a highly sophisticated security system. The prefrontal cortex, the CEO of the brain, becomes ruthless. Think of it this way. Visual scenario. Imagine a nightclub. The 20-year-old is on the dance floor, surrounded by noise, flashing lights, hands grabbing at her. She loves the chaos. It feels like life. Now look at the VIP section, behind the velvet rope. The mature woman is sitting there, watching. She sees the chaos on the floor and feels nothing but exhaustion. She doesn't want the noise. She wants the man who can walk past the bouncer, sit down across from her, and silence the room with a single look. For the mature woman, the prefrontal cortex acts as a firewall. It blocks everything that smells like danger, incompetence, or wasted time. If you try to bypass this firewall with physical touch, Her brain interprets it as an intrusion. Her cortisol spikes. Her body tenses up. The gates slam shut. You are not fighting her mood. You are fighting millions of years of survival instinct. She needs to know that you are safe. Not nice guy safe, but competent safe. She needs to know you can handle her reality. To open her body, you must first hack the firewall. You must touch the circuits that control her sense of reality, security, and identity. How do you do that? You touch these 6 specific psychological triggers. Let's begin with the first layer, the deepest layer, the security circuit. You need to understand a fundamental reality of the modern woman's existence. She is living in a state of chronic hypervigilance. Evolutionarily, she is the protector of the nest. Biologically, she is smaller. Socially, she is juggling a career, a home expectations, and the constant low-level fear of physical danger that men simply do not understand. Her amygdala, the primitive part of the brain responsible for fight or flight, is constantly humming. It is a biological alarm bell that rarely stops ringing. Cortisol is flooding her system. When she comes home to you, she doesn't want another problem to solve. She doesn't want another child to take care of. But what do most men do? They add friction. Honey, what's for dinner? Did you pay the electric bill? I can't find my socks. Every question you ask her is a micro-stressor. Every decision you force her to make is a withdrawal from her emotional bank account. You are not touching her desire, you are touching her anxiety. To trigger attraction, you must first neutralize the threat. You must touch her sense of safety. And I don't mean safety like a teddy bear. That is boring. I mean safety like a bunker in a war zone. You need to demonstrate operational competence. Visual scenario. Picture this. She walks through the door after a 10-hour battle in the corporate world. Her shoulders are tight. Her mind is racing with tomorrow's to-do list. The alarm is ringing loud. She expects chaos. She expects to have to manage you. Instead, you are there. The house is calm. You don't ask her a single question. You don't ask, "How was your day?" immediately. You hand her a glass of wine. You look her in the eye, and you say 3 words, "I handled it." Maybe it's dinner. Maybe it's the kids. Maybe it's a problem she mentioned 3 days ago. You didn't ask for permission. You didn't ask for instructions. You executed. In that moment, watch her physically. Her shoulders will drop. Her breathing will deepen. The amygdala goes silent. The firewall lowers. Why? Because you proved that for once in her life. She doesn't have to be the captain. She can surrender the wheel because you know how to drive. You touched her peace, and peace, for a mature woman, is the ultimate aphrodisiac. Main point 2, the validation void. Now that she feels safe, we must address the hunger, not sexual hunger. Not yet. I am talking about the validation void. Society tells women that their value expires with their youth. As she ages, she becomes invisible. Men stop looking at her on the street. The world stops celebrating her existence and starts expecting her labor. She runs the logistics of an entire family. She manages the emotions of everyone around her. She fights battles in the boardroom. And what does she get? Silence. Or worse, empty, shallow compliments. "You look nice today." "Great dinner, honey." These are trash. They are generic. They mean nothing. They tell her you are looking at her, not into her. To touch a mature woman's soul, you must touch her competence. You must become the witness of her struggle. She doesn't need a fan. She needs a peer. She needs someone who understands the cost of what she does. Visual scenario. Imagine you are at a crowded dinner party she organized. She is smiling. She is the perfect hostess. She is refilling glasses, laughing at bad jokes, making sure everyone is comfortable. Everyone else sees a nice hostess. You see the general on the battlefield. You see the weeks of planning. You see the stress she is hiding behind that smile. Don't wait for later. Walk up to her right now. Lean in close to her ear. Invade her personal space, just enough to create tension, and whisper, "I saw how you handled that situation with name. That was brilliant. You run this whole room." Watch her eyes. They will widen, because for the first time in years, someone didn't just eat the food. Someone saw the chef. You validated her power, not just her appearance. You told her, "I see your effort. I respect your sovereignty. You are not invisible to me." When a woman feels seen for her capability, she feels powerful. And a woman who feels powerful feels sexual. You have just turned her brain from mother mode to goddess mode. Main point 3. The intellectual spark. Let's talk about the silent killer of relationships. It is not infidelity, it is not money, it is boredom. A mature woman has lived. She has read, she has traveled, she has had the same polite, predictable conversations 1,000 times. How was work? The weather is nice. Did you see the news? This is not conversation, this is anesthesia. It puts her libido to sleep. Here is the cold, hard truth. If you cannot penetrate her mind with a new idea, you have no business trying to penetrate her body. We are talking about sapiosexuality, arousal driven by intelligence. But do not mistake intelligence for lecturing. She doesn't need a teacher. She needs a sparring partner. She craves friction. Most men are terrified to disagree with a woman. They think agreement equals intimacy. Wrong. Agreement is safe. Agreement is boring. Tension is sexy. You need to touch her curiosity. You need to be the one man who makes her question her own assumptions. Visual scenario. You are sitting across from her at a restaurant. The candles are burning. She makes a statement about politics or art or philosophy, something she believes strongly. The nice guy nods and says, "Yes, dear, you're right." Game over. You lean back. You take a sip of your drink, you hold eye contact, and you say, "I completely disagree, and here is why." You challenge her, you debate her, you push back. You don't do it to be mean, you do it to be stimulating. Watch her body language. She leans in, her pupils dilate, her voice gets a little louder, a little more passionate. She is fighting you verbally, but biologically, she is engaged. By challenging her, you are telling her, "I am not intimidated by you. I am your equal. I can handle your fire." When you touch her intellect, when you make her think, you wake up the dormant circuits in her brain. And the distance between a stimulated mind and a stimulated body is remarkably short. Main point 4. The shadow, self-touching her forbidden fantasies. Now we enter the dark room. This is where the good girl dies, the real woman begins. Society has spent decades conditioning women. Be polite, be modest, be a lady, be a nurturing mother, be a supportive wife. She is forced to wear a mask of perfection. But psychology tells us that for every persona, the face she shows the world, there is an equal and opposite shadow, the desires she hides. The brighter the light, the darker the shadow. Most men make the fatal mistake of putting a woman on a pedestal. They worship her purity. They are afraid to offend her. They treat her like fragile china. This is not romantic, it is suffocating. By putting her on a pedestal, you are forcing her to stay in character. You are trapping her in the saint role. She doesn't want another worshipper. She wants a co-conspirator. She wants a man who knows that deep down, she has thoughts that are selfish, dirty, and primal. She wants to be corrupted, not in a harmful way, but in a way that gives her permission to stop being good. You must touch her shadow. You must create a judgment-free zone where her darkest fantasies can breathe. Visual scenario. You are at a party. She is making polite conversation with the neighbors. You catch her eye across the room. You walk over and instead of joining the polite talk, you lean in and whisper something shockingly honest, maybe even slightly inappropriate about the situation. I can tell you hate this music. Let's steal a bottle of wine and get out of here. Or maybe later in private she makes a cynical joke. Or she confesses a weird desire. Most men would say, "Oh, really, that's interesting." Judgment, you smile, a dark, knowing smile. You say, "I knew there was a devil hiding in there. Tell me more." In that second, the chains break. She realizes she doesn't have to hide her true self from you. You are not afraid of her darkness. You are inviting it out to play. When you touch her shadow, you unlock a level of passion that nice guys will never, ever see. You give her the greatest gift of all, freedom. Main point 5, the authority trigger, touching her desire to surrender. This is the most controversial point, the one that makes modern society uncomfortable. But we deal in biology, not politics. We live in the era of the independent woman. She is a CEO, a manager, a single mother, a leader. From 7 o'clock a.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. she is in charge. She carries the weight of the world on her shoulders. She is masculine in her energy, driving, pushing, deciding. But here is the secret she will never tweet about. She is exhausted. She is suffering from chronic decision fatigue. Every decision she makes drains her willpower. By the time she sees you, she doesn't want to be the boss. She wants to be the passenger. She craves polarity. If you act like a partner who needs her input on everything, you are not helping her. You are giving her more work. Where do you want to eat? What movie should we watch? I don't know, it's up to you. Stop. You are killing the attraction. You are forcing her to stay in her masculine energy. Two masculine energies repel each other. To touch her desire, you must touch her need to surrender. Surrender is not weakness. Surrender is a luxury. It is the luxury of trusting someone else to handle the ship so she can finally sleep. Visual scenario. Friday night, the classic trap. Most men say, "Hey, do you want to do something tonight? Maybe grab food." "What do you think?" She has to think, she has to plan. She sighs. "I don't know, I'm tired." Now watch the man. He sends a text at 4 p.m. Be ready at 7. Wear the black dress. I made reservations. He doesn't ask. He leads. In that moment, she feels a shiver. Not fear, relief. She thinks, thank God I don't have to think. She can turn off her brain. She can settle into her feminine energy. She can be soft, receptive, and open because you are being the rock. When you take the lead with confidence, without being a tyrant but being a leader, you allow her to let go, and a woman who has let go of control is a woman who is ready to let you in. Main point 6, the anticipation gap, touching her concept of time. We have arrived at the final trigger. This is the master key to obsession, the anticipation gap. Here is the biological difference between men and women that causes the most frustration. Men are like light switches, flicker on, flicker off, instant. Women are like irons. They take time to heat up. And once they are hot, they stay hot. Most men are in a rush. They want to get to the main event as fast as possible. They think the goal is the finish line. But neuroscience tells us something fascinating about dopamine. Dopamine is not the molecule of pleasure. It is the molecule of craving. It spikes highest before you get the reward, not when you actually get it. If you give her everything she wants the moment she wants it, you are killing her dopamine. You are killing the thrill. You must touch her imagination. You must learn the art of withholding. A mature woman has the patience to appreciate the build-up. She knows that the best part of a vacation is the week before you leave. She knows that the best part of the date is getting ready. So, stop rushing. Create a time gap between the promise and the delivery. Visual scenario. It is 8 o'clock a.m. You are leaving for work. She is in the kitchen drinking coffee. You walk up behind her. You wrap your arms around her waist. You pull her close. You whisper exactly what you want to do to her, explicitly. Your hands start to move. She leans back. She is ready now. And then you stop. You kiss her on the cheek. You let go. You say, "Tonight, not now." And you walk out the door. What have you just done? You have planted a virus in her mind for the next 10 hours while she is at work, while she is driving, while she is in meetings. She is thinking about you. She is replaying that whisper. She is anticipating tonight. Every hour that passes, the tension builds. The dopamine rises by the time you walk through the door that evening. You haven't just touched her skin, you have been touching her mind for 10 straight hours. You turned time into your weapon. You proved that you are in control of your own urges, and that makes you infinitely more dangerous and infinitely more desirable. Gentlemen, we have dissected the beast. We have peeled back the layers of the mature female psyche, from the amygdala to the prefrontal cortex, from her darkest shadows to her highest aspirations. You now hold the map, but a map is useless if you do not have the courage to walk the path. Here is the final verdict. The average man, the boy in a man's body, thinks that intimacy is a transaction. He puts in kindness coins and expects sex to fall out. He rushes to touch her skin because he is insecure. He needs the reassurance that she is his. But the awakened man, the man who understands the code, knows better. He knows that by the time his hand finally touches her body, the war has already been won. He has already touched her safety. He has touched her pride. He has touched her mind. He has touched her darkness. He didn't just turn her on, he unlocked her. When you master these 6 points of contact, you stop chasing women, you start attracting them. You stop being a beggar at the door of intimacy, and you become the owner of the house. The question is not, does she want it? The question is, are you capable of handling the woman who emerges when you finally touch her? Right, do not use this knowledge to manipulate. Use it to liberate. Liberate her from her stress. Liberate her from her boredom. Liberate her from her mask. Because when you touch a woman's soul first, her body doesn't just submit, it devotes. This is Psy-Mind Decode. We don't give you the blue pill. We show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. If you are ready to leave the nice guys behind and understand the true mechanics of human behavior, smash that subscribe button, turn on notifications, do not miss the next dissection, and I want to hear from you in the comments. Be honest. Does this approach sound like arrogance to you, or does it sound like freedom? Tell me. I'll be watching. Class dismissed.